Hey there everyone, welcome to Violet's Dream Tarot. Welcome to today's November Pick a Card. It's been a while. I hope you're all doing well. Really looking forward to filming today's reading. So today, as you can see for the November Pick a Card, we have this sort of autumn / Halloween theme. And this is how my desk has been looking for the past few days. We've got some sort of pumpkins at the back, some acorns. These are real conkers. There's a little skull hiding there. Next to the gnomes there's also this skull and books and raven ornament. Some acorns as well and some pumpkin lights, so it's really seasonal. I love to change the decorations in my house seasonally, so if you have been with my channel for a long time, you will know my lovely gnomes, the stars of the show, which are Gizmund, Gunvald, Gaia and Gjord. But elsewhere in my house I also have seasonal gnomes, so at the moment I have a couple of wizard gnomes and a big mummy gnome holding a pumpkin. They're all much bigger than these guys are. But let me know in the comments if you're also someone who likes to switch things up seasonally. And I hope you like this setup that we've got today. So let's take a look at the piles. As I said, this is a November pick a card, so we'll be looking at what is coming up for you in November, what you can expect, what major themes will be impacting on your life. And we have 3 piles, and I've chosen a different sort of Halloween themed deck for each pile. We always get through lots in my readings, so we don't just use tarot, we use oracle cards as well, and then we go through charms and dice, and sometimes we use tokens as well, which I'll be using today. So plenty to get through, lots of different media through which we get different messages, and it's nice because often they interconnect as well, which I really enjoy. So on each pile you have a little squishy Halloween mochi friend, so it's not just the different decks to choose, but also you can choose a little friend as well if you find that easier than choosing the deck. So for the first pile we have this little skeleton friend. Like I said, they're squishy, they're like little stress relief friends. And this one is the Dark Mansion Tarot, I believe it's called. So that's pile 1. Over on pile 2 we have the Halloween Tarot and this pink little pumpkin friend. We'll squeeze them all. And on pile 3 we have the new Hocus Pocus Tarot that I've been using a lot recently, and this little ghosty friend. And thank you so much to Raj for sending in the Hocus Pocus Tarot, because that was a gift that I got from her recently, and she's a very generous client and fan of the channel, so thank you so much, Raj. And for anyone who watches pile 3, you'll get the benefit of that one. So take as much time as you need. If you want to go back to the beginning of the video, or if you want to pause it, please do so if you need more time to make a decision. Choose with your intuition. Don't just pick the deck you want to see most or the cutest friend. Go with what your gut is telling you, because that will give you the most accurate reading, which at the end of the day is what we are here for. If you really can't choose, maybe there are 2 that are competing for your attention today, that's fine. Maybe watch both. It might be that one of them is the majority of your reading and then the other one just has a couple of extra messages for you, or it could be that there's sort of 50-50 messages for you in each reading. Have fun with it. As I said, use your intuition. If a message doesn't feel right, let it go with love. It's probably not your message, but hopefully there will be some helpful messages here for you today. So when you've chosen, let's get into it. I will be ready for you with pile number 1, and I hope you guys really enjoy this one today. Hey there, pile 1. Welcome to your reading. If you chose this cute little skeleton, squishy, mochi friend, and the Dark Mansion Tarot, then this one is for you. I think we'll just put a friend down there. and we'll launch straight into your readings. Beautiful cards that we have today. As I mentioned in the introduction, if you're new to the channel, we use lots of different media to do readings here, so you won't just be getting tarot cards and oracle cards, you'll also be getting charms, dice, and divination tokens today as well. So plenty to get through. Lots of different ways to receive messages. Some people prefer the cards over the charms, but some people really enjoy the dice. You know, it's different for everyone what they prefer. So let's get into your tarot first. We always do tarot followed by oracle cards so that they lay out onto the mat quite nicely, and then we put everything else on top one by one. So group 1, let's see what is coming up for you in November, what you can expect from your month ahead. Wow, okay, you guys have lots and lots of cards. Like so many. Let me just pick them all up. So you have 6 of Pentacles. I feel like we're going to run out of space very quickly today in your reading. Queen of Cups. 4 of Pentacles. 5 of Cups. That's interesting. You've got Pentacles, Cups, Pentacles, Cups. 4 of Cups. 6 of Cups. Lots and lots of cups. Knight of Cups. Then you have 8 of Swords. 9 of Cups. And 4 of Swords. Okay, you guys, no wands here or major arcana, interestingly. It's very cups heavy with pentacles and swords showing up as well. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, I believe are the only zodiac signs showing up for now, but we could get some more as we go through your reading. Lots and lots of messages. It feels like November is a very emotional month. There's lots of messages here as well about feeling dissatisfied, stuck, just not kind of happy with the way things are going. But then you also have 9 of Cups, which is really interesting because that is this card of fulfillment. 6 of Pentacles is also pretty positive. Queen of Cups as well seems to be kind of thinking about what you want. So there's a few different things going on. I'm almost wondering if you have some time off sick in November, or you have a holiday, or it's like you're being given room to ruminate, room to think, because you got this very nostalgic card as well, 6 of Cups. Really thinking about the past and memories. Maybe you go back to your hometown, or you have a holiday somewhere that you used to go as a kid, and it just kind of brings back loads of memories. And it allows you this space to really think about things, because I'm not sensing busyness from this month, or at least that's not what the focus is for you. So I don't see like loads and loads of things happening, lots going on. It seems like you spend a lot of time in your head, a lot of time thinking about how you want things to change, or what you're happy with versus what you're not happy with. So it feels like it's a time of real evaluation for you, and you spend a lot of time working out essentially what you want and what you want to change. So let's move on to oracle cards, because I feel like they're going to give us a lot more context. Like, personally, I just think the fact that you have so many of these cards, like, look at these cards that are just sort of sitting, thinking, ruminating. Just a real feeling here of I'm just sort of sat, I'm thinking about things, I have a lot of time to consider things. But then also the addition of like Queen of Cups, 7 of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, even Knight of Cups, like those aren't negative cards. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of like it's just a melancholy mood that you have, and it's just causing you to focus on things that you would like to change in your life. I think this is partly brought on by this sense of nostalgia as well. You know, sometimes you just lose an entire day to nostalgia and thinking about memories, and it can sometimes feel quite gloomy, even if you're thinking about happy things, because that's stuff that's in the past, you know? And sometimes, obviously, you get nostalgic about, I don't know if nostalgic is the word really, but you get sucked into memories that aren't necessarily positive. And that can then affect your mood or color things differently in your mind. So I feel like there's a lot of that going on, but very curious to check out your oracle cards for more information. Okay, group one. Lots of oracle cards here. Let me just gather them up. We'll take a look at them all together. Okay, so your sweetie is Jawbreaker. Patience, slow pace, taking time. And that was the vibe that I got around you maybe being on holiday or taking some time off sick in November. Like, I just get that sense of, I have time to think. I have time to ruminate. You've got number 23 from this deck here, which shows a witch being executed. Maybe there's something that someone's blaming you for, or you wish you could go back and change things. 34, falling. Yeah, there's this real sense of like, something's out of my control. Marie Masquerade, glamour, intrigue, drama, number 14. So maybe it's that. Maybe there's like people gossiping and you don't like it, or people are gossiping about you, or it feels like maybe the memories thing is to do with like someone asking a personal question, and it brings you into an uncomfortable conversation where you've got to sort of mention your past in a way that you'd rather not, or maybe you meet someone from the past and it just kind of brings up memories for you, both positive and negative. The right way, number 21, learning to create what you desire. Okay, so that makes sense with like the 9 of Cups, the 4 of Cups, you know, kind of thinking about what it is that you want, things that you want to change, how can you improve the situation. Painting the roses red, number 27. Covering up errors. Yeah, there is definitely something here about like, I wish I could go back and change this, or I realize now that I didn't always make the right choices. How can I make sure that that doesn't affect my future? Chalice, fulfillment. There's the cup again. The cup. It's very, very emotional time. Number 3, the eternal witch. That also gives this sense of memories, doesn't it? Eternity, something that is beyond this current time frame, and yet always with us. Maven of Masks, number 44. Anti-hero, number 18. Maverick, risk taker, rule breaker. and natural, authentic, real, organic, number 40. Now, I think this one is quite interesting in comparison to some of the other messages you've received, because it's almost here like someone's putting you in the spotlight, or someone is forcing you to make a decision or to say something that you don't necessarily feel comfortable saying or discussing. And yet you are still trying to be your authentic self. Like even with this one as well, Maverick, Rule Breaker, Risk Taker, it's like, you know, this is who I am. Like I'm not going to put on the mask and be someone different for you. It's like someone is trying to make you more like themselves or try and make you be more like them, and you're like, actually no, that doesn't feel right for me. Because a lot of these cards also kind of point towards something feeling unfulfilling, something not feeling authentic, something that's overwhelming or doesn't seem right for you. Oh. The Eternal Witch, like your true eternal higher self. Also with Jawbreaker, it makes me feel like not being able to speak, like someone's trying to make you say something that doesn't feel right, or someone is trying to get you to sort of speak about something you're not comfortable with. This could maybe be a work situation where you're being like asked to take on more responsibility that you don't feel ready for, or maybe you're having to like present something about the company that you personally don't agree with, like, and kind of getting this message of like, I'm expected to do this, but it's not me. And so there's some pushback from your side of like, I don't want to do this. You know, I'm not just going to say something I don't believe in. There's a lot here about taking a stand for what feels right for you, and what makes you unique. Really interesting month of November. Like just from what I've seen so far, there's quite a few interesting themes going on here. Let me just pull you one more card before we move on to Charms Dice tokens, because I thought I would use a little deck to basically give you some hidden information about the month ahead. So what is it about November that you're not seeing? What is like a secret cheat code piece of information or something extra that it would be helpful for you to know that's maybe not obvious in the month ahead? That fits well with this autumnal Halloween theme. Things that aren't quite seen, things that aren't quite visible, things that change form. Okay, so it's the Eight of Swords. Wow. I mean, the Eight of Swords was a card that you received already in your reading. So that seems to be the key to all this then. If this is like the cheat code card, then that is the key to this situation. So the Eight of Swords is any situation where you feel stuck, where you feel trapped. Let me just get it so you can see it more clearly. Maybe this card in particular holds some kind of hidden symbolism for you. It's where you feel like you're stuck and you can't move forward, but actually you can. And deep down, I think you know you can. It's just that it might be difficult or time consuming, or, you know, it's not the easy way out to change things. So we often get this card in like relationship situations or work situations where deep down we know that this is doing us no good. We're kind of staying in a situation that, I guess it's like the devil, you know, it's like better the devil you know. It's not an easy situation. It causes us problems or makes us miserable, but it's like changing it would mean going into the unknown, and that's frightening. Or changing it requires a lot of upheaval and admin and time and effort, and it requires you to really face up to the situation and stare it down, and that might not be what you feel ready for. So at this time in November, I actually do see you feeling ready to make changes, because we have Risk Taker, Rule Breaker, Natural, Authentic, The Right Way, Fulfillment, all of these messages about what could be different, what you see your life as being what's more fulfilling. Getting in contact with this eternal self. And so I'm wondering if this covering up errors message is kind of like, you know, you feel that you've kind of taken a wrong turn, or that your current situation just isn't helping you. And so it's like, okay, well, how can I make changes moving forward and try and put this behind me? That's more like what I see, as opposed to, oh no, I've done something wrong and I need to hide it from people. Like, I don't really see that, because you have these messages about authenticity, and, you know, it's more like other people want you to be something you're not. Because I see, you know, other people here with the gossip and the drama and, you know, the witch burning. It's like other people have problems within themselves and they try and deflect that onto other people. So maybe you've got like a review coming up at work, for example, and someone says something that you think is really like unfair. And it feels like that's a deflection of their situation, but maybe it wakens you up to the fact that this workplace is toxic, or it's just not. It's like a dead end situation for you, and there's more out there for you. But maybe, you know, that has felt overwhelming up until now. The idea of switching workplace or applying for a new role. Equally, you know, there could be a relationship moment where the mask slips, where someone says something that really, you know, betrays their true self, and it's shocking in the moment, but at the same time, it's something that you deep down knew was always there. And that prompts you to reevaluate your relationship with that person. And it feels like you really have the time to think about these things in November for whatever reason. So group 1, let's get your charms, and then we will get your dice and your tokens to follow up as well. But we'll start with charms. Okay, so with your charms, you have the chair, which is kind of like household situations. Maybe some of you are looking to move house. Maybe, again, there's like a holiday, so you're not in your usual home for a while. You get that change of scenery, the change of those four walls. Maybe you're doing some DIY or interior decorating, and that's just showing up as a focus for you in November. You have the growth charm, so there is growth happening for you in November. Changes, I mean, you have the galaxy, sort of vortex charm, which to me is always like swirling, something's changing, something's transforming. It also makes me think of the stars aligning. So something kind of happening at the right time that just means it all falls into place. And I'm wondering if some of this is to do with like the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. So there could be something coming up, like I mentioned, like someone being unfair to you at work, or there being some kind of unfair review, or someone kind of pushing you into the spotlight, or pushing you to do something that you realize is just not in alignment with your values, your authentic self, or relationship wise. You know, someone kind of their mask slipping, someone showing you their true self and it not being positive. And it's just the final straw. And it just makes you realize I need to take action here. Like, actually, this is not me living my best authentic life. You know, this is me living a masked life, me living some kind of restricted, not my true self life. I think what's curious actually about that card is that the swords are sort of placed into the long dress that she's wearing. And I'm wondering if the dress is kind of like, I guess, a costume in this sense, like a symbol, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like a metaphor for a costume. And it's like when she takes that costume off, she will finally be free, you know? But it's outside, it's snowing, like, you know, she's going to be cold for a while. There's that sense of the discomfort that comes from extricating yourself from that Eight of Swords situation. So I feel like that feeds in very nicely to what this situation feels like for you in November. Because, I mean, you have the bird cage as well. Freedom, liberty. There's also a sense of loneliness with this cage as well. Like you want more friends. And then you have the Three of Cups, the three dolphins. So it's like you do have that friendship and support around you. But maybe because of a relationship that you've been putting all your time into, or that's been isolating you from other people, or a job where you've been working long hours, or it's been very demanding, you haven't had as much time for those important people. And so when we get the Three of Cups in any reading, it tells us that there's going to be opportunities to socialize in this month. It tells us that there is going to be fun times, times where you get to let your hair down and just relax, because it feels like you've been carrying like a heavy burden, like a real weight upon your shoulders. And it's like you just get to let loose a little bit in November. You don't need to worry about it as much. You can have fun, you can relax, you can set it aside and not carry it with you every single day. So again, that's why I'm thinking holiday, or there's some kind of party or other social event that you're being invited to that allows you to just forget your troubles. You have the lovely fairy here. Magic, air elemental energy surrounding you. Fairies are with you at this time. You also have the lotus, very calm, meditative, peaceful image. It's also the calling card of the Buddhist goddess Kuan Yin, goddess of compassion and mercy, kindness and love. So she is with you at this time, helping you to navigate all of these powerful emotions and possibly confusing experiences. Turn to her if you need help, if you feel comfortable doing so. Let's pull your tokens now. So I have a set of larger tokens and a set of smaller, and I'm going to pull from each bag. Okay, so those are the larger ones. You got this one as well. Dropped a couple of these smaller ones, sorry. There. Okay, so if we take a look at this, I mean, roots is jumping out to me first of all. So roots is like grounding, it's your family, it's your lineage, your heritage. This is also, again, bringing back that message I got earlier in the reading about some of you possibly returning to a hometown or a place that you used to holiday in when you were a child, because it's got that reminiscing vibe to it a little bit. Shell game, so that the game where you kind of hide something under one of the shells and then you move them around really quickly and see if you can guess which one the hidden thing was under. This is like hidden information again, or it's like you're not seeing the full picture, or it's like people playing games, playing tricks with you, or at least around you. Like even if you're not the victim here, you're in that environment, and that's quite difficult. It could also refer to like this choice that you need to make that feels difficult, or that feels, you know, kind of high stakes. Hitchhiker, traveling, risk-taking, it's on this risk-taking card. Adventure, trust, there's a lot of trust with hitchhiking. There's also that sense of like trying to make it on your own, like just setting out and hoping that everything will work out. Definitely makes sense with like, you know, moving on from a relationship or looking for a new job. You've got the glasses, seeing things clearly, clarity, visions perhaps. Cup of coffee, wake up and smell the coffee, that sense of realization. Also, it's a very cozy token, that one. It makes me think of like warmth and coziness and nourishment. They are number 2 and number 95 respectively, just in case you are taking account of the numbers. You have got the nuclear science symbol, physics, nuclear family, science being important here in some way. That's number 59. And then your final token is Saturn, number 101. So your Saturn placement is important here. This is to do with karma. This is to do with work. Like, I think a lot of you, this is a work situation where you're being pushed beyond what feels reasonable. But again, I don't get a sense of busyness from this month. So I don't feel like you're flat out with deadlines or like there's any real change to the status quo in terms of how much you're working or how long the hours are. It's just more like something happens that make you feel, I'm not comfortable with that. Or do you know what? Actually, I've realized now that this job, it's trying to make me into someone I'm not. Or this workplace expects me to be just like them. Like everyone has to be the same and there's no room for dissent or like different opinions, that jawbreaker, like, you know, not being able to speak in a situation. We just really get this sense of like, this isn't for me. This, I just realize now all of a sudden what I've known deep down for a long time, that I just don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel right. I feel like there is just so much more out there for me. So group 1, let's finish up with your dice. So we're rolling the 9th set of dice. That's the Astro dice. Let me just get those. And I hope that this doesn't seem like frightening, because to be honest, I don't get a sense of like, this is terrible, this is awful, this is, you know, so appalling. It's more just like, this is the final straw. And it feels overwhelming to have to change things, or it feels tiring. But I just get a sense of like, this is it, you know, as opposed to, oh my God, this is awful. It's just like, I've had enough of this. Like, this is not for me. I need to make changes. So let's see how many of these dice we're going to roll for you, group 1. That's a 0, so I'm going to roll again. Okay, all 9. Great. So, let me take these. Okay. What do we have here? Okay, so a few different things. Number 1, this is pretty interesting because you've got the person holding the microphone. It's like a news reporter, and he's holding it out like he's going to ask you a question. So again, there's this sense of speaking. And like being pushed to speak. So again, I'm wondering if there is just like an uncomfortable situation at work where they try and make you say something that you're not comfortable with, or you feel quizzed by someone, even outside of a work capacity here. Like, it's not going to be work for everyone. But like, you feel quizzed by someone, you feel like they're prying or asking uncomfortable questions. However, for those of you in a difficult work situation, this can strongly represent job interviews. So it could be that you're already getting those interviews in November. There's the person, like a police officer, blowing his whistle and pointing. This sense of being ordered about, having no freedom, feeling restricted, limited. Someone just bosses you around. The meteorite crashing to Earth. The sense of a sudden realization, a sudden change. Just the sense of like something big that happens quickly. Antennae or satellite as well, like reading a situation, gaining information that's important. This car, any sort of vehicle, makes me think of travel, movement, progress, shifting where you are geographically or physically, but also just like a change generally and forward movement, especially fast progress or sudden progress. Also here, the person in a capsule makes me think of like being transported from one situation to another one completely. So again, like change in relationships, change of jobs, moving house, going on holiday, that kind of vibe. There is a little blob here holding a scepter and wearing a crown. Two things I get from this. Like, firstly, I kind of get the message again of being bossed about, like someone's declaring themselves your leader and you've got to follow them. But I think also, like, whenever I see a crown, I think of sovereignty and your leadership and your own autonomy. So I think this is also a message of you taking back control and making the decisions and being determined to move forward. Then here you have an ant's nest, which makes me think of community, home, the people around you, hard work. Whenever I think of ants, I think of hard work. But also there's something a little bit like unnerving about it, isn't there? So maybe there's also this sense of like, you know, this is just not a community where I feel comfortable. I need to make changes, or people sort of ganging up and conspiring together and you just want to get away from that kind of vibe. And then the snow falling down. I think of this as being very peaceful. It also represents a quiet time. The winter, obviously, as we're going into winter, not in November itself, but straight afterwards. So already sort of looking forward to the winter, making plans that will take place then. I do really feel job interviews for a lot of you are happening. Perhaps you're on holiday and taking the opportunity to, you know, apply for jobs, and then you get some interviews later on in the month. Some of you, it's like being able to sound off to friends and family about a relationship that just didn't work out, or that you realized you needed to reevaluate because the two of you have clearly outgrown each other, or they weren't the person that you originally thought they were. So I hope that this hasn't been overwhelming, Group 1. I realize that there's a lot of messages here. A lot of it seems like you're trying to make changes because you're unhappy with a situation or you're dissatisfied with something. To reiterate, I don't feel like it's a big, oh my God, something awful happens. I think it's more you've been dissatisfied for a while, or deep down you've known that a situation isn't right, and something happens in November that just is the straw that broke the camel's back. It's something that just suddenly the lights come on, the realization happens, and you're like, I need to walk away. And you start putting plans in motion for that. So it's not new information. It's just that sudden, I can't do this anymore. This isn't working for me. So hopefully you already know what this is. And hopefully, even from watching this reading, you can already start to make plans to make those changes. So I hope this has been helpful, Group 1. I hope you enjoy your November. There are definitely things to enjoy here as well, because there's like a sense of dreaming of changes that you want to make. And there's also this quiet time where you can reflect and just take a breather from anything that's troubling you. Have a lovely rest of your day. Have a wonderful month of November. Good luck with the changes that you're making, Group 1. I hope that they all work out wonderfully for you. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for being here, Group 1. Hi there, Group 2. Welcome to your reading to all of you who chose the pink pumpkin friend with the witch's hat, and also the Halloween tarot. So I'm going to put our little friend down here. And we will get started with your reading. So for those of you who are new, welcome. In case you missed it in the intro, we use lots of different media in my readings. So you will get cards. We always start with the tarot cards and then we move on to oracle cards. But then there are also lots of other things as well, like charms, dice, and we're using divination tokens as well in this reading. And that will give you just lots more messages, and I think the different media, the different ways in which the messages are communicated can be really helpful, because some people prefer the cards and they like to have specific words show up, for example, whereas other people really love the dice or prefer the tokens. So it really just depends what sort of person you are, and sometimes it's nice to get the same messages across different media as well. It can be very validating. So Group 2, Let's see what is showing up for you in November, what you can expect. Group 1's reading, I have to say, was very, very specific. So I'm wondering if it's going to be a similar case for you. It seemed to focus in on one major issue for Group 1, so let's take a look. Group 2, November. Group 2. Okay, so from the tarot you have 4 of Imps, which is the 4 of Wands. I really like this deck, I think it's super cute. Then you have 4 of Pumpkins or Pentacles, so that's 2 4s right next to each other. The Fool, lovely Major Arcana card. And 2 of Pumpkins, 2 of Pentacles. Okay, just trying to be conscious here because Group 1's reading filled the mat very, very quickly and we lost a lot of space. So, what do I see for you in November? Well, a few things actually. I like that you have the Fool because that kind of represents quite a fresh mindset and it almost feels like a new beginning for you in some way. I also like that this vegetable man is planting seeds. That's quite an unusual depiction of the 4 of Pentacles, which we normally see as kind of like holding on to our money or our resources or trying to protect ourselves and our energy, sometimes kind of going the opposite way and like recklessly spending. But I think planting seeds to me is neither of those things. It's like you're investing wisely for the future. You're willing to put energy into the right places. And 4 of Wands is very jubilant energy. It suggests things turning out positively. 2 of Pentacles is like trying to juggle things. And sometimes this one means that you're doing really well and you're kind of managing lots of different responsibilities. Sometimes it means that you're trying to juggle things and you're essentially just trying to keep your head above water. I think we will see which one it is from the oracle cards because they will always give us a bit more detail. But I just get the sense of like forward planning, excitement for the future. Maybe with the 4 of Wands being the first card, this suggests that you've recently had something to celebrate, or you've recently had something go well, or you've had positive progress towards your goals, and that has kind of inspired you a bit to keep moving forward in November. But let's check out your oracle cards. As I said, they will give us much more detailed information. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shuffle from a few decks all at once, and then I will gather the cards up like I just did with these, and we'll look at them all together. So let me start with this one. Okay, a couple of cards from that deck. Last one. This deck has something to say. There we go. Okay, great. So, group 2, let's gather up your cards and take a look at them. more closely. Oh, 3 cards from that deck actually. Wow. Interesting. So okay, so you have number 51, which is like a party or wedding type situation with couples jumping over a bonfire, which is a traditional pagan tradition, I guess, as part of that sort of ceremony. You have number 25. This child is playing with dolls, and then there is a hairy arm that offers the child another doll, but it's a very skeletal doll. It's quite an interesting one. And then again with the child imagery, number 17, there's 2 women pulling apart a child. And this reminds me of a biblical story, actually, where 2 women both claim to be the mother of the same child. And I think it's King Solomon tells them to cut the child in half and they can each have half. And one woman is fine with that. And the other one says, no, of course, let her have the child. And that's how he determines who the real mother is, because, of course, no real mother would want any harm to come to her child like that. So this is interesting. And I think also in the context of this, with like the little people and the child and the dolls, it's kind of got a similar vibe there. You have the Brown Witch, number 23, and that's very seasonal with the pumpkin and the brown colour. Candles, Magic, number 42, again sort of brown colour. Ghosts of the past returns for a time. Interesting. Maybe that's to do with this situation. No Need to Fear, number 18. Remember how powerful you are. What a lovely card. So affirming of your ability. Faith, Trust, Unwavering Confidence, number 36. I really love that card. There's also a sort of religious imagery to that as well, considering you got a card that reminded me of a Bible story. So maybe there's some religious or very spiritual aspect to your month, because candles as well, also very religious. Supernova, number 8. Love that one. Pinhead Punchinello, number 24. And then your sweetie for the month is Popping Sugar, Epiphany, Surprise, Revelation. So also known as popping candy. I really, really like popping candy when it's in chocolate. So, what am I seeing from this month? I have to say a few things, like with the seeds being planted and then the Brown Witch, I get this sense of harvest and kind of a return on your efforts. Also with Candles, Magic, that to me kind of suggests like casting a spell to get a particular outcome, manifestation, law of attraction, etc. Supernova as well. It's all about kind of increasing your power and leveling up. This also looks to be some kind of celebration, which is very much what the Four of Wands implies as well. So I do feel as though there's something in November that goes really well for you. And it feels like it's the result of effort that you've put in. Like it's not just like a lucky break. It is something going well that you've been working hard to achieve, or you've been kind of putting the hours in, tending it with your attention and, trying to improve or bring something about in a positive way. And so I feel like that has a wonderful result for you, which you should feel really proud of. Even if it's not like the full culmination of a project, right? Because sometimes we have like big long-term goals that we expect to complete in several years' time. This could just be like an important milestone being reached. Four of Wands always makes me think of milestones. Also, it's quite interesting that you have the Four of Wands and this celebration card, because they both make me think of weddings. So maybe there is some kind of actual life milestone happening for you, or you're attending someone else's wedding. That could also tie in with like the religious imagery, or maybe like a christening, or a new baby is being born and you're going to congratulate the parents, or you are the parent even. It's that kind of feeling of like people coming together to celebrate something that I'm picking up on in this reading, and it seems to be tied into a big achievement and or life milestones. Something that happens for you in November is also to do with faith in yourself, confidence. It feels like your confidence is really increased in November. And I do get the sense that something, almost like there's something that happens that could knock that confidence, but it doesn't. And what I mean by that is you have this message of like the past returning for a time. You've also got this really like dubious, this hairy arm that's like a monster or a devil or something passing the doll to this child, and there's the people fighting over the skeleton child. It's like, there's someone there that maybe can't be trusted, or there's someone who pops up and creates conflict in your life. And maybe there's someone from your past, or maybe you are sort of confronted with memories of the past, and times when you were challenged by someone, or when you had these difficulties, or when you, were offered something by someone that couldn't be trusted. And maybe it's just that memory that threatens to knock your confidence, but it feels like there is something that shows up. And maybe this is where the Two of Pentacles balance message is coming in, that you're able to retain that balance and that trust in yourself and your abilities, even when faced with this sort of memory or this confusing or difficult situation. So that's wonderful. I think also the Epiphany as well suggests that there is some kind of realization coming your way, possibly from something from the past. It is actually touching this past card. So maybe you are reflecting on something that happened in the past in November, and you get like a new wisdom or a new lesson from it. Even if it was many, many years ago, it's like you've got that sudden, oh, do you know what? That was a great lesson from that experience. And that really helps you with your confidence, but also I think with applying this wisdom to future experiences. It's like, oh, well, now I know if I'm in that sort of situation again, this is what I'll do. Or I know to avoid this course of action because it didn't work out well for me in the past. So I would choose something else. Also, the Pinhead Punchinello is interesting because this card shows up when there's like lots of demands on you, or there's lots of things that you want to achieve. But it's like, it's kind of like the 80-20 rule. Like 20% of the effort that you put in gives 80% of the results. And that also fits in nicely with the Two of Pentacles. And of course, this is a clown and this is a clown, and this clown is actually juggling. So there's that message of like juggling responsibilities again. And it feels like in November, you are becoming aware of what works. And you're getting more confidence in yourself because you're realizing, oh, do you know, if I actually devoted my time to this thing and making sure that that's rock solid and that's wonderful, then I get this like guaranteed outcome that's really, really helpful. And then I can, use my extra time to focus on this problem or this particular task. And so it feels like you're streamlining things in November and getting a lot of really useful insights, actually. This no need to fear is very, very nice as well. It feels like whatever you're confronted with in November, you are really going to be able to overcome it. Let's get your charms group too, because I'm really interested in finding out what they have to say. Wow, plenty of charms. There's that growth charm. Group 1 got that one as well. Growth and forward movement. I also forgot to get you an additional card from this deck, which I just thought would be a cool thing to do in this reading. Given the time of year, I thought that this could be an extra message that is like the hidden or secret information for November, or something that's maybe like a cheat code for the month ahead, something that if you know it, it'll be really helpful, or it's hidden but not obvious information that would be helpful for you to know. I'll just pull that now. Okay, Queen of Diamonds or Queen of Wands. Interesting. So it does seem to be referring to like magic and manifestation, attraction. It's like what you focus on in this month will manifest. That's your hidden information. Group 2, that's something to just be aware of. I mean, I think it's generally true anyway, but it's easy to forget. But it feels like even more so in this month in particular for you, what you focus on can manifest. So try and make sure that you're focusing on your desired outcome, or positive outcomes to a situation, instead of catastrophizing or focusing on difficult things that happened in the past or things that you don't want to happen. Interestingly enough, on that past card you have this fishbone charm, which I always associate that charm with the 5 of Pentacles, this feeling of living in a consciousness of lack, which is the very opposite of what the Queen of Wands advises you to do. It's like this sense of, oh wait, I need this, or I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm so unlucky, this'll never work for me. Why does everyone else have it so much easier? When these thoughts start to creep in, it really jeopardizes your manifestation. Mustache, masculine energy. There is some kind of influential man or masculine energy in your life in this month. Teapot, socializing, time spent with friends, chatting to people. You have the moon here, emotions that are hidden, dreams, visions, psychic information. The wasp, feeling hurt, feeling stung. Moon can also point towards your doubts, things that you kind of try and keep hidden, but which still, I guess, play on your mind. It's interesting to me that both of these are on this card, this wasp and this moon. I do feel as though there is like something reminds you of a difficult time in November, or for whatever reason you end up thinking about someone that was very antagonistic in your life, and it just kind of brings some of these feelings back to the forefront as if you were placed back in that situation. But it really does honestly feel like you overcome this. It's just something that throws you for a moment or so, I would say. But it's also a reminder of how far you've come since then. You have love hanging by a thread, so something that makes you question your relationship with someone, or a feeling that a relationship is getting strained. However, on the same card you also have I love you, so maybe that's just another doubt creeping in, something where you question yourself. You have a dragonfly, which is a good luck charm. It's also a symbol of fire elementals, dragons and salamanders. Gingerbread man, things taking a while to complete. Whenever I think of that, I think of like baking biscuits and needing to put in all of the effort beforehand, like planting the seeds here and then waiting for them to cook and then waiting for them to cool before you can enjoy them. So I always think of like a slow burn or something that takes a while to be ready. When I see that charm, you have this lovely flower, blooming, blossoming, beauty, growth. Another moon symbol, little fairy sitting on the moon. This makes me think of when you're sitting around just waiting for your dreams to come true, waiting for something to happen. Maybe going back to that manifestation message. Snowflake. Winter time. Making plans for the winter. Also, now when I think of a snowflake, I think of vulnerability, fragility. Maybe you feel just a little bit fragile, but actually you realize how strong you are. You have the worry thread showing up for worry and anxiety. What's this? Oh, I love my dog. That's cute. That comes to remind us of the important animals in our life. Maybe spending time with animals in this month more so than usual. But if you don't resonate with that, as in like, I don't have a pet, I don't live near any nature, I don't even like animals, then this would be more of like a spirit animal message of connecting to that powerful animal totem. And that would also fit in with these other messages about confidence and strength and, in fact, increasing your strength. Also make for an interesting kind of reading of this card with the human child and then this sort of animalistic hand. Could be like a helping hand from your spirit animal. Meditation, mindfulness, taking a breather. It's quite a Zen charm, reminding you to find time to breathe, to do yoga, to pray, to meditate, whatever you class as your mindful time. Make time for that in this month. And then beautiful charm, quite a rare one to get in any reading, is the goldfish. And that goldfish, the meaning I take from it is from a Chinese folk tale about a goldfish who swims up a waterfall, and the gods are so amazed that a little goldfish can complete this amazing feat of strength and skill that they turn him into a dragon, which is obviously a very powerful and lucky creature in Chinese mythology. So if you are this goldfish, if you are someone who is putting in a lot of effort and maybe has more hurdles than usual to overcome in your life compared to other people, once you've completed all of that, you will be rewarded with something magnificent. That is one of my favorite charms from the whole tin, because it's just such an encouraging, such a validating message. So powerful. Okay, group 2, let's get your tokens and then we'll look at your dice as well. I just feel like the theme of this month for you is personal power, strength and confidence, and then that theme of celebration, like celebrating yourself, celebrating your achievements, celebrating how far you've come. For those of you who are new, I have 2 bags of tokens. Those are the little ones, and then I have some larger ones as well. And I always pull from both bags. Okay, so if we go with the little tokens first. First one here is the shell, number 62. Love, fertility, summertime, I always think of when I see the shell. I also always think of Venus, Lady Venus. Also makes me think of pearls as well, and like that pearl is created from a difficult situation. You know, the pearl is like originally a little bit of sand that's an irritant for the clam. And then, you know, after so much time and effort, you get that beautiful pearl. And I think that's such a wonderful metaphor for your situation with the planting of the seeds and the showing of power and confidence. And then your, what feels like quite a lot of long-term activity to try and achieve something. You then ultimately get this really magnificent outcome. I feel like I just want to keep saying the word magnificent, which is really lovely. And here you have the guardian angel, which is really, really beautiful. Number 105, 105. This is an angel saving someone, sweeping them up and carrying them away. So guardian angel, really someone is watching over you. Maybe this isn't such a disconcerting card after all. Like maybe this is genuine help. Maybe from an unexpected source, maybe from a spiritual source, maybe from someone that you didn't even know cared about you or knew about your life in any way. Someone choosing to help you. And then you have number 119, 119, the road. This makes me think of the path ahead. Like you have this very clear path. You have this understanding of where to go. It's not a busy road though. It's like an empty road. So maybe you feel like it's a path that you walk alone. One that, aside from this kind of unexpected help that you get in this month, you often feel like you have to just manage by yourself. Maybe that gets quite lonely. The acrobat here, look, that juggling image again. That's the third time you've had juggling in your reading. That's very, very specific. Group 2. So yeah, like spinning lots of plates, juggling priorities, trying to keep your balance. I don't get this sense of being like this is a real struggle for you. I feel like it's okay. But just a recognition in this reading that you are doing so well to juggle so many things, or to keep your head above water and feel balanced despite, you know, what might come your way and potentially try and mess with your equilibrium. So well done, Group 2. You should be really proud of yourself. Firefly. A beautiful firefly. This kind of light in the darkness. Illumination, lighting the way. It's got, if I combine it with that road, it's got that sense of like lighting the path. But you have so much light imagery as well in your reading. Supernova, firefly, and then you have the burning heart here. You have candles. Like, that's so beautiful that it all ties in nicely. I suppose also the moon as well. The double moon imagery that you got is also about illuminating something. And then I also wanted to say, like, it was interesting that you got firefly when you also have the dragonfly and then the mention of the dragon. So like these fire elementals are really present in your reading, which is really, really cool. And then you have Prince. This can stand in for like any of the knights in tarot. You didn't get a knight in your reading, but when I see the Prince, and I mean you have the masculine symbol here, it suggests someone who is helpful, someone who helps you out in some way in this month. So maybe one of your helpers is a male friend or colleague or family member or even an acquaintance, because I almost get the feeling that it's like a unexpected person. Or maybe the unexpected help comes from spirit as well. And this person is more expected help. Prince can also stand in for a romantic prospect or someone that, you know, is interested in you. As I said, you do have that wedding message. Let's check in with your dice as well to close up your reading. Okay, Group 2, we're rolling the 5th set of dice for you. Those are the actions dice. And we're rolling 2 of them for you. Okay. Two dice for Group 2. Okay. Interesting. You've got the person shoveling soil. So that's like planting seeds, right? That's like putting the soil back on top once you've planted the seeds. Like laying the groundwork for the road ahead. I think sometimes when I see this, I think a little bit of like trying to cover something up. like putting something underground and then covering it up. But I don't really get that vibe from your reading. I feel like it's more to do with laying a foundation, laying a groundwork. It's representative of the time and effort that you're putting into your plans, like tending to a beautiful garden. You seem very focused in this month, very diligent, and like you're getting help from various sources, which is really lovely, including some unexpected help. And you're doing very well as well. Then you have this dice of someone accidentally knocking over a vase. But they still have chance to catch this vase. You know, we don't know if it's going to end up smashing or if they're going to quickly catch it and put it back. I feel like this is more of an anxiety because, again, I don't see anything in your reading that suggests that you drop the ball at any point, you know, talking about all the juggling that you've been doing. I don't see anything that suggests you make a mistake or that you are doing badly. I think this is more like it's either a self-doubt thing of like, surely at some point something's got to give. You know, I can't keep doing so well indefinitely kind of thing. Or it's indicative of this message that I got earlier on about something, especially something from your past that comes back as like a memory or something that kind of momentarily just knocks your confidence a little bit. Just knocks you slightly, you know, it's not necessarily going to smash. It just knocks you and you're a bit like, ooh, you know, with that reminiscing. But then, as I said, I really feel as though you bounce back from this, you know, you right yourself again. You have the confidence to completely move forward and put that behind you. And even, I feel, get some kind of wisdom from that experience that you hadn't previously thought about. So that could also be where these fire and candle and light imagery is coming from, is to represent that wisdom and that sudden like illumination or revelation that you receive, that enlightenment. You know, think of how those words are often like infused with that word of light. So I hope this makes sense to you, Group 2. I really hope you've enjoyed this. As I said, it really does look like a positive month. It seems like you're doing really, really well. And you should be so proud of yourself for what you've achieved so far and what you're managing to do in November. I hope you have a wonderful month ahead and a lovely rest of your day. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for being here, Group 2. Hello there, Group 3. Welcome to your reading for all of you who chose this pile with the lovely little Mochi ghost friend and the Hocus Pocus tarot. So we're just going to put your little friend down there. And we are looking into what is coming up for you in November. So as with the other readings, we're going to be pulling tarot cards first, followed by oracle cards. And then for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. We then follow up with charms, dice, and divination tokens in this reading as well. So lots to get through, lots of different media through which we do your reading. So let's shuffle this deck. Group 3, what's coming up for you in November? Group 3. November. Okay, so we have your tarot cards. First one was the Tower. So starting out with a major arcana card. Change happening in November, or maybe adjusting to changes that happened in October. 5 of Potions or 5 of Cups. Queen of Candles. Queen of Wands. The Master, which is the Devil card in this deck. It's interesting, you've got the Tower and the Devil. And Temperance. Sagittarius energy there. So we have Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, but especially Sagittarius showing up in your reading. I definitely see change and kind of adjusting to feelings of disappointment or regret, because you do have the devil here, which suggests that you're kind of grappling with something that you know isn't right for you, or which isn't providing your best authentic life. Temperance suggesting trying to get back to a healthier lifestyle. And this could very simply be to do with nutrition, or kind of like healthy lifestyle more generally, like sleeping well, drinking water, exercising. But for some of you, this could be more specific and more to do with like a work situation or love situation, or some other kind of health scenario where you are trying to get back to a more moderate, more healthy life. I do see this sense of confidence and strength here with the Queen of Wands, this ability to attract the help that you need. And it seems like you're maybe stronger than you realize, but I definitely see this sense of like, sometimes things get out of my control, or, you know, changes happened in a way that I wasn't happy with, and I want to find the middle ground. Like, I want to get back into this place where I feel back in control, able to make changes again. Feels like there are still some things in November hanging over you that you want to manage, get rid of, handle more efficiently. So I'm super curious to see what your oracle cards are going to say, because I always find that the tarot kind of acts as like a gateway into the reading, and then the oracle cards give much more detailed information. So let's see what they can tell us, group 3. I'm just going to pull from a handful of different decks all at once, and then we'll gather up the cards and read them together like we did with the tarot. Let's start with this deck. Picked again some kind of Halloween or seasonal themed decks, which I hope you enjoy. Okay, let's gather these up. So your first card here is number 43. It shows these witches or other creatures on broomsticks. It looks like they're all heading in the same direction, so maybe there is some kind of conference or gathering, or even a party maybe that they're going to. The Grant 3 Wishes Witch. That's a lovely one to receive. Number 12. Very positive. Lord, God, Masculine. Now that is interesting, given that the Devil card in this deck is called the Master. Kind of suggests that there is an important masculine in your life at this time that's maybe taking up a lot of your energy or focus, or who is just quite important to you. The 3 Fates, what comes around. Number 26, maybe some karmic issues going on. Alice, number 12. It's interesting you got this card because I also pulled from an Alice in Wonderland deck. The Monster Within, internal struggle, personal challenges, wanting to improve, number 25. That definitely fits with the Devil message. sort of acknowledging those demons, the things that you want to change. And then you also have these kind of monstrous beings on that card. Eternal youth, energy, newness, vitality, number 1. Use your time well, 24. Make every moment count. You are rare and free, 38. There are not many like you. That's a nice one. And then Candy Hearts is your sweetie card for this month. Romance, attraction, connection. So I do feel like there is a love or relationship situation. I kind of feel like I'm reading the Devil card in a few different ways in your reading. So firstly, it seems like there is a partnership here. So let me read it in a couple of different ways depending on your situation. So if you're in a relationship, it feels as though that relationship has become a bit strained, perhaps due to these other issues, these kind of internal struggles and karmic problems that you might have been dealing with. If you're not in a relationship, I get the feeling that you have maybe had a few horror stories recently with love and dating and romance, and it feels like you're really trying not to repeat that again. So this two sort of love messages here are either a partnership where you're trying to get back on an even keel after a tense and strained time due to other factors, or there is, if you're single or you're just kind of in the dating phase, it's like you're trying to avoid having those difficult experiences. Maybe you've had some kind of online dating experiences that turned out terribly, or you've just kind of had a run of bad partners and you're really trying to break that cycle. It does feel like karmic issues are at play. I will say that is potentially something that you are dealing with, and it may be why it's hitting you quite as hard as it is. This internal personal struggle, I mean, it's going to be different for everyone, and the cards aren't really alluding to the exact nature of that struggle, but that is just showing up as something that is highlighted for you in this month. So there is a sense of wanting to improve, wanting to be a better person, wanting to be healthier, and feel more balanced, and like you sort of have your equilibrium back. So that's quite important as a focus for you in November. However, I mentioned that the Queen of Wands was there in amongst all of this change and emotional stuff, and that is very true. So this brings in the uniqueness, the energy, the strength that we mentioned. The Alice card in this deck refers to entering new worlds, kind of setting foot in new spaces, paths that are untrodden, strange places that you've never been in before. And I think that does fit well with the aftermath of the Tower card, like this feeling of change and unsettlement, and now you're in this whole new world, and it's scary and maybe a little bit exciting as well, and you're just trying to get to grips with everything. And therein also lies the message of temperance, of trying to get back onto an even keel or an even footing, kind of working out what your life looks like now, where you're heading to from here. So November is a time of putting feelers out, kind of trying to work out how you feel, what you want your next steps to be, how you're going to go about achieving things. And this brings us to use your time well. Make every moment count. So maybe in November, it could be easy to get into wallowing or sort of decision paralysis, because it's a whole new world, and you know, there's lots to think about and lots of decisions to make, and that can end up leaving you in a stalemate. So try and use your time well. Try and make the most of this month. Maybe because in future months other things will be competing for your attention, and this is a good time now to be thinking about those decisions. With this card, I do get the sense of party, or like socializing, people inviting you to some kind of gathering. So there's an opportunity there to spend time with others in a more light-hearted way, I feel. And then we have the lovely like grant 3 wishes witch, which is so nice. So feels like you could get some wishes granted in November, or maybe it's more to do with you having ambitions in this month, having goals and plans and dreams and hopes, and there being the potential for that to come through. You know, it's like in November, you're thinking about what you want, and this card is letting us know that you can achieve that. Maybe not in this month itself, but you can achieve that. That's something that is feasible for you. Okay, so group 3, I'm really interested to see what your charms have to say, but before we go into that, I want to just pull you one extra card. This is something that I thought would be a little bit fun, a little bit different for this reading, where I pull an extra card from this deck just to kind of see what the hidden information or the kind of cheat code is for this month ahead. So something that's maybe not obvious, hidden from sight, secret information for November that if you knew about it would be really helpful, or like the cheat code, the thing that's kind of at the crux of everything that will help you solve the problems. So let's see which card we're going to get. Group 3. Okay. So you have King of Clubs, which is King of Wands. And this really actually seems to fit with what I was saying about the 3 wishes being to do with like hopes and dreams. Because the King of Wands kind of suggests to me that the cheat code or the hidden information for November is to start thinking about the long-term plan. So it might be, especially with the Tower card, that up until now, recently you've only been able to focus on taking things a day or a week at a time, just kind of trying to put one foot in front of the other. You haven't really been able to see what is beyond that, or you haven't had the bandwidth to really sit down and think about what is beyond that. But your King of Wands cheat code card is telling you that now you are able to do that. You might not feel like that's the case, but you are actually able to sit down and make those plans and think that through. So take the time in November to try and carve out a longer term plan so that you have this framework to work towards over the coming weeks, months, maybe even a year or 2, maybe even slightly longer than that. It might be like a 5-year plan kind of situation. But try and lay that out, because I feel like something about your energy, group 3, is telling me that in the months to come, you will really appreciate having thought things through in more detail, or having that structure to sort of hold on to as you work towards your goals. So I hope that makes sense for you. Let's look now at your charms, and then we will do your tokens and then your dice. Okay. Okay, so we actually have a few letters here for you. You have the letter I, which could also be like a Roman numeral 1. You also have A and Z. Maybe a word is coming to mind, maybe multiple words or names or places. It's quite interesting actually that you have A and Z right next to each other, because to me it's like the alpha and the omega, like from A to Z, going from the beginning to the end. So maybe there is a sense of completion of something in November, or getting to the end of something, completing a goal. Or maybe this is more to do with the King of Wands thing about seeing your projects through to the end, visualizing how that will come about. You have the shark here, which represents fear. The witch with her cauldron, very seasonal charm. This is to do with being in a process of something, or recognizing that your current situation is a process. She's sort of brewing a potion, or she's casting a spell that involves a cauldron. That's not just like a moment's incantation where you just say the words and the spell is complete. That's like lots of time and effort and attention that's being placed into that. So representing something that you're going through, or just your current situation as a whole, being a process. And I think if you can recognize that, you'll be able to cut yourself a little bit of slack. This starfish represents healing and optimism. Then, the teapot, tea time. Socializing. This is definitely coming up because you also have like the bunny, which to me is like a playful, fun, light-hearted charm. So I do get the feeling from those two that you have some kind of invitation in November that lets you spend time with people, laugh, have fun, let off steam a little bit, and it just sort of brightens your mood and lifts you up. It stops you from feeling heavy or burdened. It just kind of takes you out of your situation. So that socializing seems like a very positive thing. As I said, maybe it's a party or some kind of celebration or other gathering. But that's really sweet. You have the deer representing shyness or vulnerability. Possibly you're maybe even thinking about turning down the invitation to this event because you just don't feel up to it. You feel shy. You feel like you maybe don't have much to talk about, or like you're not going to be very good company because, you've been moping a little bit. I would encourage you, though, to say yes. I feel as though this gathering could be really positive for you. Like you could get a lot more out of it than you maybe might expect. Then you have the swallow, something or someone returning to you in this month, coming back after a time away. Could be anything, it could be like a friend from your past showing up, or it could be the enthusiasm for a hobby or project returning to you, finding something that you'd lost. You have the chair here, which represents the home, DIY, moving house, decorating your home. And the ship's wheel, changing direction. It's like the wheel of fortune. Things improving for you in November. Things feeling a sense of positive change. Let's add your tokens now. For those of you who are new, I have 2 bags of tokens. One are like a larger set, and then the other is a smaller set, and I use both whenever I get them out. So, group 3. Oh, wow. Okay, that one took some time to think about which way it wanted to fall. Okay, let's look at your larger tokens. So you have Zen, which is all to do with mindfulness and meditation, prayer, yoga, whatever you do that is mindful and relaxing. That seems to be important in this month as a way to just clear your mind, find that special time and space where you can just be. Rainstorm, kind of sadness, gloominess, pessimism. It also makes me think of saving for a rainy day, or it being like a rainy day, you want to stay inside. That kind of vibe. Letters, communication, talking to people, important information coming your way, receiving a message that is important or valuable in some way. Again, I'm getting the sense that communicating with people is beneficial for you in this month. So then let's look at your smaller tokens. So you have Cupid or Eros, Number 76 there, I mean, that is all to do with romance and love, new love, falling in love. I guess love just being a topic that's important for you in November, that's kind of on your mind. Then you have Saturn, number 101, 101. This again is related to karma, and I think it's quite important that it's landed on that karmic card. Also worth looking at your Saturn placement to kind of understand what's going on in this month, or any transits that Saturn is going through or being affected by for you. And then 121, you have this heart-shaped lock. So whenever I see a lock, I think of a puzzle or a problem. So to see that here, I feel like there is an obstacle. Someone doesn't want to open their heart. Someone doesn't want to open up. Someone is kind of a bit closed off love-wise. I do think there's a situation here where there is attraction or loving feelings, and then the person who is kind of the object of those loving feelings or that attraction is maybe not ready to give, or is, I guess, just unresponsive in some way. It really does feel like there has been some difficult dating experiences for a lot of you, or some of you have this kind of strained, tense relationship with your partner that you're trying to fix in November, trying to improve. Let's see what your dice have to say to close up your reading. Okay, so we're rolling the fourth set of dice, and those ones are the Looney Tunes dice. Okay. Okay, that's a 1, so I'll roll again. We're rolling to see how many dice we're going to roll from that set. 8. Okay, great. 8 dice. Interesting. Someone is really getting on your nerves in this month, I have to say, because you have Daffy Duck. And Daffy Duck always makes me think of like an irritating person, or someone who gets in your way, someone who like causes problems or represents an obstacle. And then here you've also got like the sparks flying, like representing a fight or an argument, a scuffle, the key to like wind up a toy, and people squaring up to fight each other or have an argument. So I am really getting that there is this strained relationship at the center of these relationship issues. Like someone is just not helping you, someone is standing in your way or is causing an argument, or they are just like being really irritating to you. The vibe that I'm really getting from your reading is like, that situation where you just want something to go a certain way. Like say you're going to have a conversation with someone and you just want this conversation to work out in a particular way. Like you've had this vision for how you want the conversation to turn out. The outcome that you want from it is very clear in your mind. And this person just doesn't get it when you talk to them. Like they just aren't understanding you, or there is like miscommunication, they misunderstand you repeatedly, or they just won't warm round to your way of thinking. And it's just so frustrating and irritating. And, you're like, why am I even bothering? Like that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting from your reading of someone who is just difficult to talk to, or is just not understanding you, not really seeing where you're coming from, like speaking cross purposes with someone. To be clear, I don't think that this is impossible to resolve. If this is like a long-standing relationship, I do feel as though this is like a temporary thing, but my goodness, it's frustrating in the meantime. The bulldozer and the mallet It just feels like overkill, or like people that are at each other's throats. The bulldozer, it also kind of reminds me of the tower, of like wrecking something, something completely changing, especially very sudden change as well. This way up with this Acme box makes me think of fragility again, which we got with the deer charm. That sense of being fragile, vulnerable, needing to be handled in a certain way, otherwise you'll lose it, or things just won't go well. When you just, again, this is like another very specific scenario, when you just feel like if this doesn't work out, or if this conversation or this like day at work or experience or presentation or whatever doesn't go the way I need it to, I will break down. That is the feeling I'm getting for some of you in November, that you just feel like if this doesn't work out in the way I need it to, I'm just going to cry, or I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to go crazy. Like, that's just the feeling I get. Like, you just need, mentally setting a condition that like, if this doesn't happen, all hell is going to break loose. And I feel that. And then like the last dice you have is the outline of the person when they've like fallen down a canyon or something in Looney Tunes, like just that feeling of being flawed, not sure how to come back from this. Like, again, it's very much tower energy of like, change has happened, how do I rebuild? And so November, I don't think it's the month where you're like physically rebuilding things, but I think it's the month where you start to consider how you're going to go about that, where you start to assess, I guess, the way the dust has settled after this change, and you're still dealing with those feelings of disappointment, because we have the Five of Cups, and there's still something lingering to be sorted out with, which is the devil here. But you're ready to start thinking now about how to approach that rebuilding, how to start moving forward with healing and new goals, and approaching new opportunities after certain doors have closed. So I hope that that's encouraging. And I'm not seeing this as being a terrible month by any means. I know we've focused a bit on challenges or problems that you might be facing, but I see this as a month where you are reminded of your strength and your courage and confidence much more than you expected to be. And as much as you might feel fragile or vulnerable, there are things that happen in this month that prove you to be the opposite, and that is actually very empowering for you. So I hope this is helpful, Group 3. I hope it is informative. I hope you've enjoyed this reading. Thank you so much for being here. Have a lovely rest of your day. Take care. Have a wonderful November. And I will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for being here, Group 3. I really appreciate you.